So remember, hopefully you've memorized the law of cosines. A squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine A. That's one version. When do you use it? When you know all three sides or two sides and the included angle. Now remember, there's obviously other cases that, law of cosines wouldn't be beneficial. So there's something called law of sines. So here you kind of have a step-by-step way of how to prove this. Write a trig equation using, this should be a little c here. You know what? Here, let's fix it. We can white it out. That should be a little c, okay? Write a trig equation using little c, h, and angle A. So how about sine sine of A equals opposite over hypotenuse. So that's just using the triangle on the left. And it says write a trig equation, blah, 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 blah. Let's do the triangle on the right. Sine of big C equals h over A. So I'm going to take this first one. I'm going to solve it for h. So if I cross multiply, I get c sine of A equals h. And if I cross multiply this, I get a sine of C equals h. Well, I have these things. So doesn't that mean I can set these two things together, set them equal to each other, right? C sine A equals a sine of C. Okay, and that's what we have here, right? Now, we're just going to do a little simplifying. If I divide both sides by AC, you see here the A's cancel out. Here the C's cancel out. So I end up with sine of A over little a equals sine of C over little c. And if we had drawn in a different altitude, we would also determine that the sine of big B over little b is equal as well, okay? If we had drawn in a different altitude. That's the law of sines. That's a nice, easy one to remember, okay? Sine of A over little a equals sine of C over little c equals sine of B over little b. Okay, so when are we going to use it? Well, when you know two sides and a non-included angle. We talked about that briefly the other day. And also if you know two angles and a side. Of course, if you know two angles, you really know all three, right? But two angles and a side would be sufficient. Notice how if we know all three angles and no sides, that doesn't really help us. We have no idea how big that triangle is. Okay? All right. Now, I'm not going to do much on this back side. I'm going to show you a couple of different types of problems, and then you can do the rest yourself if you like. So find little b. Little b would be opposite big B. So that would be sine of 59. See, I got to work with what I know. Sine of 59 over 350. See, I know that, well, I can add these up and subtract from 180. This would have to be 38, right? Equals sine of 38 over little b. Okay. So this is pretty direct. So now if I cross multiply, I get b sine of 59 equals 350 times sine of 38. I want to get b by itself. So now I'm going to divide by sine of 59. So be careful when you do this on your calculator. Sine of 59, I kept it on my calculator. Now I'm doing 350 times sine of 38. And I'm going to divide that by my previous answer, and I get 251.39. for little b. Okay. There you go. It's not that hard, right? Here, I'm asked to find the measure of angle C. So, what am I going to do here? Well, I can't find it right away. I'm going to do sine of 69 over 250 equals, I have to work with the sine of B first because I know the 150 across. So when I cross multiply, I get 250 sine of B equals 150 sine of 69. I want to get sine of B by itself, so I divide by 250. Now remember, this is the sine, so I need to take the inverse sine of this. So angle B, I got to take the inverse sine of that. 150 sine of 69, hit enter, divide by 250, hit enter. Take the inverse sine of that answer, and I get 34.07. So that's angle B. So obviously then, guys, I took the inverse sine of that. Now I can take that 34.07, add it to the 69 that I had earlier, and now subtract from 180. I get 76.93 for angle C. Okay. So here we did one where we found the angle, just did it. And earlier, of course, we did one where we found the side. There you go. Now for these last three problems, what you're doing here is you're given three pieces of the triangle, three parts of it. You have to find the other three parts. Okay. So here I'm given two angles and a side, so I have to find the third angle and the other two sides. And you can use a combination of law sines, law cosines, whatever you think. I'm going to have this on Canvas, so you can check it out there. Okay.